Hi everybody, and welcome to Geeks After College with our segment First Impressions with your host Neil Butler and our very own Stephen Ingram. We just got finished with seeing Wreck-It Ralph in 3D.
My name's Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it!
30 years I've been doing this.
I can fix it!
It's hard to love your job when no one else seems to like you for doing it.
You're just the bad guy who wrecks the building.
I'm okay.
If I'm really honest with myself, it sure must be nice being the good guy.
Ralph, you are bad guy, but this does not mean you're bad guy.
I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
Ralph abandoned his game.
Welcome to Game Central Station.
Bad guy coming.
Everything changes now.
Where's Ralph?
Sorry, Cubert. It's me, Ralph.
Ralph's gone to hero's duty?
Fear is a four-letter word, ladies. You want to go pee-pee in your big boy slacks? Keep it to yourself.
Hi, mister. You're not from here, are you?
Sugar Rush?
You're game jumping?
Hey!
Aha! You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Aha! You hit a guy with glasses. That's...
So Stephen, what did you think of Wreck-It Ralph?
I very much loved it. Video games have been a big part of my life. You know, when I was a kid, I played like Sonic the Hedgehog, Street Fighter 2. A lot of games were referenced in this. Like even like some of the old ones, like Ralph goes to like a bar to have a drink, and it's that old like bartending game where you have to like make sure all the patrons who are slowly inching their way towards the bar get their beer.
It's a barkeep, isn't it?
Tapper.
Tapper or something.
Tapper was what it was called in the movie. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called in real life because they obviously didn't care about copyrights or they got all the rights and everything.
God bless, you got to hand it to Disney for actually managing to go ahead and get the rights to all of these things.
It's pretty amazing. And and as an avid gamer of my whole life, it was fun to kind of see like just like Chun-Li walking around, mingling with like Sonic the Hedgehog, the Burger Time chef. And they had like little jokes here and there, like Ralph, like when he's like going through game jumping and he runs into a lot of people, he runs into Sonic and a bunch of rings pop out of him.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
So there's a lot of like little gags like that for older fans who have like played the games. There's a lot of like kiddie humor in there. It's a cute movie. It's very well written. The soundtrack's pretty cool at most points, except maybe the end credits, the songs.
The Owl City song. I'm just not crazy about Owl City. It's not a bad song. It's just like, Owl City guys, really? But sorry, I thought I had something else to say about the soundtrack, and I just like pooped. So there you go.
They were very creative. I must say this is probably one of the most creative movies I have ever seen in terms like. Most of it takes place in like the Sugar Rush video game, which is all like candy canes, lollipops, and all these like bright colors.
You feel like you're gonna get diabetes just from like being exposed to all these sweets, like just visually.
Yeah, despite the fact that most of it is set in this one game, there's a lot of different set pieces. They really went above and beyond, especially with like coming up with just like so many like wordplay examples, like you light like a cherry, the little stem on a cherry, and it's about to explode. It's a cherry bomb. There's like that's just like one out of what, like 8 trillion examples of like.
It was very clever. The wordplay was very clever. It was very punny.
Yeah. Oh my god, my friend and roommate Eric would just die watching this movie.
Oh, Eric Lewick would have a great time with that.
Oh man, but like and I love puns myself, and it's just it's the kind of writing that like I wish I could do. I thought the voice acting was really great. It was really fun to recognize some of the voice actors in the movie. As Sour Bill. There's so many like nods to video games, like Sour Bill, like he was just like a ball, but he had like jelly beans for hands and feet, but they weren't connected. They were kind of like Rayman,
yeah,
video game character like, Rayman.
I swear, like there are at least like 3 or 4 people from Modern Family
Yeah.
in this film doing voices.
Ty
It was
Burrell played
really
Sour
cool.
Bill. Ed O'Neill played the guy
owner
who
the
owns
owner of the arcade. Yeah.
And we think maybe some other characters from the show might have been in this movie because ABC's owned by Disney.
Yep.
Yeah, so it would make sense.
Disney now owns everything, including Star Wars.
Yep.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's a topic for another time.
That's a topic for another time.
I don't know how many nitpicks I really have. It's
Well, was there anything that you found wrong with it? I know it's going to be kind of hard to find genuine criticisms with Wreck-It Ralph because, damn.
I did kind of get the feeling that maybe they had a lot more references to certain games as opposed to trying to reference a lot. They had Hubert as a character that kind of shows up a lot. They had multiple Street Fighter references, Zangief's in the trailer. You see Ryu kind of walking around in the background at times. You see Chun-Li walking around, and Cammy and Bison is also in the Badadon meeting. And you kind of get the feeling okay, maybe they got the rights to Street Fighter and 4 or 5 other games, and they really stretched it, But
we got the rights for this. There's no way in hell we're gonna squander them.
There's this weird when they're in Game Central Station. Another pun, Grand Central Station. Sonic the Hedgehog, warning for those who game jump, and I swear it might be the guy who does the voice of them in other, in video games.
That would be
in
really
cartoons or
impressive.
something.
That'd be really
I
impressive.
think they got the voice actor who played Sonic. I don't know. It's a nitpicky thing because I definitely noticed a lot more Street Fighter references than any other game franchise. They probably left Donkey Kong out because I think Wreck-It Ralph was very much supposed to be kind of Donkey Kong.
I think it's probably for the best that they left Donkey Kong out because
Yeah.
Donkey Kong is essentially Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I thought the voice acting was really brilliant, and not just from these random Sonic the Hedgehog, but Sarah Silverman. I thought sometimes I couldn't tell it was her because she had a really good range in it. It was a very touching, and I really felt for the character. I got teary eyed at one point.
I think we all did.
Was it when he had the car?
Yeah, that sucked.
Oh my god, I was tearing up at that. It's hard to watch. It's so emotional. And kudos Disney.
Kudos Disney. You did it. You did. You got emotions out of us without wringing our eyes or anything.
Right.
Without putting the jars under our eyes, saying "Cry, damn you."
The villain. I think I figured it out just maybe 30 seconds before it happened, but it still felt amazing. It's the reveal of the villain, the true nature of him. It's a nice touching ending. I kind of thought it was gonna end with we're gonna treat Ralph better now. I thought that's what they were gonna do, but they didn't. It was just kind of more of a internal journey for Ralph and feeling better about it.
It felt cathartic.
It was very cathartic.
Yeah.
And it a lot more cathartic than just everybody else learning their lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't really think of many nitpicks. Like I said, Jane Lynch was really good. Jack McBrayer was really good.
Mm-hmm.
John C. McGinley, I felt was perfect.
John C. Reilly.
Who's McGinley?
John McGinley is Dr. Cox from Scrubs.
Right. So John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly, I thought was really great in the role. Really felt for the character. Again, it was very well written. I think if I'm gonna pick one thing to really emphasize in this review, it's just how creative this movie is, how well written it is. It's just really top notch.
Oh yeah.
I would give this movie a 9 out of 10. I really would. 9.5.
Damn. Sounds good.
Yeah. How about you, Neil?
I actually really loved Wreck-It Ralph. I think it's safe to say that Disney actually created the better animated film of the year than Pixar.
Yeah.
Because if you have seen our Brave review from many months back, which we apologize for, because that's when we were still starting out and kind of were like, bleh. That was our first one. We weren't crazy about Brave. I mean, we thought it was good, we guessed, but we didn't think of it. We didn't think as highly of it as other people did. So we think it's very weird to say that Disney actually created the better animated film. And I would actually say that maybe aside from Paranorman, I think it's the best animated film of the year. Excluding animated foreign, excluding foreign independent animated films that I haven't seen and I probably never will. And of course, there's always going to be some guy who's like, "Man, you didn't see the one from France." Well, no, of course I haven't, because I don't live in France. It's always from France. It's always from France. But Wreck-It Ralph is just uniformly fantastic. It's well directed, it's well written, it's well acted. A lot of thought went into this film. I have to say, I really liked the structure of the film. I really did. It wasn't just really simplified story, point A to point B. There are a lot of subplots that build upon subplots that build upon subplots, and I really like that. It feels like they're really creating this world, and they're subplots that are used correctly, because I feel like nowadays in films, especially films, sometimes television shows like Dexter, well, Dexter's the worst offender, but you get the idea, where subplots are just used as filler, and it's like you could really cut them out and you'd have a better film. But not to say that the film is comprised entirely of subplots, but you have the main plot, but you have subplot within subplots within subplots. They all sort of create a bigger picture, and it's really kind of refreshing to see that utilized the way that it is. So that's something that I really, really liked about it. Like I said, the acting from everyone is uniformly great. It's never I think it's something kind of like a testament to the film, like a genuinely good testament to the film, that Steven and I were kind of like, who is that guy? We couldn't figure out who was doing who, and I think that's something to be said for the acting. That just, it's never oh, well, I can tell that's them. These people really, really get into their characters, and it's rather fantastic. And it doesn't really pull you out oh, well, I know that that's so and so. It's oh, this is actually a character, and that's something that you don't see too much nowadays, especially with most animated films. So once again, kudos, Disney.
The voice acting doesn't stand out like Bobcat Goldthwait or something.
I'm gonna wreck it! That's my terrible impression of Bobcat Goldthwait. I'm really sorry to everyone, including Bobcat Goldthwait. Hopefully he never sees this. But yeah, I don't, there's not that much to say about Wreck-It Ralph besides it's great and go see it. It's not anything bad against the film by any means. It's just, there's only so much you can say before it feels like, second verse same as the first. It's great. Go see it. And I think this is actually one of the few times that I have ever done this year. I would recommend seeing it in 3D.
It looked really good.
The 3D was really good. Also, it's really nice to take these off. But the 3D is actually very well utilized. It doesn't feel extraneous. It actually feels like how 3D is supposed to be used, which is to create a bigger world. It's supposed to put you more into the world that you're seeing. It's giving you a more in-depth feeling.
God, yeah, when at the beginning of the movie, you see Ralph in hero's duty, and it's very dark, and all these lasers are going off, and all these bugs are flying, and then the first 5 minutes in Sugar Rush with 3D glasses.
It's just
on.
an assault.
It's
a diabetic assault.
My eyes are can feel the fuzziness.
I could just feel myself turning into Wilford Brimley in my seat. I'm a bad person for that joke. I apologize. Not really. Anyways.
Yeah, it's you can see the textures of the gumdrops.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there's just not that much else to say about Wreck-It Ralph besides it's fantastic. It's one of the best things we have seen this year, and we highly recommend seeing it. So if you're watching this review, finish the review and then go see Wreck-It Ralph. So Wreck-It Ralph, I would definitely give it at least a 9 out of 10 right now. I'm sure that like once I sleep on it, like by tomorrow or maybe the next couple days, I'll probably bump it up to like a 9.5 out of 10. So I guess
I always think it's gonna get a little better after sleeping on it.
Well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
See, like for me, like it's usually like, oh my god, that's the greatest thing ever, and then I sleep on it. Like, okay, man, like I need to calm down. Dude.
Well, I can never say one way or the other. I feel like I need to do like a follow-up on these things whenever I finish them. So I guess last things on Wreck-It Ralph. Steven, would you recommend Wreck-It Ralph?
I would definitely recommend Wreck-It Ralph, especially if you're, somebody who played video games a lot, like a lot of the classic video games. And it's great for kids. It's got the whole don't be if you're like 20 years old, like don't be turned off by like Sugar Rush and all the lollipops and candy canes. It's really a well-written movie. It's like everybody tells me about My Little Pony. Friendship is Magic or whatever the show is, that the new one is called. It's like, don't be turned off. It's a great show. Don't ignore the fact that it's ponies and you're a guy.
I'm not ignoring the fact. I'm not turned off by the fact that it's ponies. I'm turned off by its fans.
Bronies.
Ugh.
Yeah, but
gross.
Like this movie's like My Little Pony. It's so. It seems so very bright, colorful, even like maybe girly at times, with just how.
Well, even then, like it's the spirit of it. It's not like welcome to the land of ponies and sunshine and
it's like
crazy colors. Like it's
poking fun at it.
It is. It's poking fun at it. It's like a satire of it. So it's tongue in cheek.
Right. So if you're big into video games, I would definitely recommend it. Even newer video games, like the whole Heroes Duty is kind of more about newer video games.
Yeah.
And
it's just a great commentary on the gaming culture and world of gaming, like back then and even now. Like they have just so much great stuff. Like I love the joke about she's been programmed with the darkest
and most tragic
backstory, which I played Dead Island, which is just like that times a million. Just like we're just gonna have to program every single character with the most stereotypically fucking dark, depressing backstory ever. It was like depressing backstory the game. Oh, I just want to kill some zombies. No, wait, you have to listen to this depressing backstory. Wait, so her father's dead? Yes. Wait, so her family's dead? Yes. Wait, so he didn't get that record deal? No, he didn't. Well, okay, whatever. Can I just kill some zombies? No. Sorry.
But wait, there's more tragedy.
But wait. Let's add some tragedy to your tragedy. Well, thanks, Dead Island. But anyways, sorry. So you would recommend Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you're a fan of just really creative stuff. It's definitely, like I was kind of afraid it would be like an animated Scott Pilgrim movie, just like video games, and I thought it would just be very similar to that. But it's very different. It has a life of its own.
I too would definitely recommend Wreck-It Ralph. Something I never actually got to touch on before was just like how like it's probably the most thematically dark like Disney film. Like the whole film deals with like rejection, and like I think rejection is actually probably the biggest one, which is something
having a job that nobody likes.
Yeah, like it's just things that kids don't really have to deal with too much. Like it definitely is geared a little bit more towards adults, which is not a fault of the film, but on the film's part by any means. It's actually I really appreciated it. Like it was nice for it to go someplace that I didn't really expect it to go. But despite all that, like go ahead.
So it's an interesting take on the whole be yourself thing. Like in Aladdin, it's like he's poor, but other than that, he's handsome and charming, and he's got all these other great things going for him. In this movie, like being yourself is like, you're that like glitch in the video game. Like you're not supposed to be there. You're a mistake.
Yeah.
Or you're the villain in the game. And
yeah.
It's a really different take on like being yourself.
Which thankfully, I'm very thankful that it was different because if I had to deal with another animated film where the message is be yourself, I was gonna shoot myself. But thankfully, Wreck-It Ralph did something different with that, so I really am very proud of that. So yeah, go see Wreck-It Ralph whenever you can.
Well, let's close out with the bad guy affirmation. I am bad.
And that's good.
I will never be good.
No.
And that's not bad.
Hold that thought.
There's no one I'd rather be than me.
Why do I fix everything I touch?
It's make your mama's proud time.
I love my mama!
Oh, good. The cops. Hold still. Take that.
So one thing that we were actually going to talk about was the short film that came before Wreck-It Ralph called Paperman. And we're very familiar with Paperman because we're all, Steven and I are both friends with a lot of people from the animation department at SCAD, and we're friends with just animators in general. And everyone was really, really excited about Paperman. They were just all like shitting themselves. And Paperman is, well, we should say off the bat, like, Steven really, really liked Paperman.
I like it. I think it gets a little too over the top in the end, but otherwise I think it's beautifully animated.
Yeah. And I basically described it as a really beautifully rendered student film. Because the whole plot of it is guy meets girl at train station, something happens, girl goes away, guy spends the rest of his day trying to find girl, and then crazy stuff in, wackiness ensues, and then they fall in love and they kiss. And it's the same formula of every student film.
Most in Paperman's defense, the student films are typically live action, just people and actors.
Oh yeah, I know, but this one like really had a lot going for it. But I mean, like once again, it was just like I've seen this film before.
Yeah.
So many damn times. I have seen it so much that when I finally made my intro to film final video, I made a total rip of those films. It's called Crushed. I'll put a link to it. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. You know how I feel about my old work. It's like, but this one's actually kind of worth it. But just not a whole lot on Paperman. Like it was kind of weird because most of our friends were like, "Oh my God, Paperman is the best thing ever." So I mean, it's not like we really had like really high expectations. Totally not.
We're always like very sarcastic about. I mean, like, we love our fans. It might not, like, it always kind of comes off sarcastic.
We love our...
when it comes out of my mouth. This is how we talk about our friends.
Yeah, this is how we talk about, like, everyone. This is just, it's the default voice. So, no need to feel...
So Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I don't want to run California.
So then at the very end of Terminator, he's like, I'll be back, so that's sort of our default voice for everyone. No one should feel offended. I talk about my family that way. It's just how it is. But yeah, like most of our friends were just like, "Oh my God, Paperman's gonna be the best thing ever!" And then we watched it and it was like, yeah, it was good. The animation's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I would definitely.
The music's fantastic. The music's fantastic as well. Like every technical thing about it is wonderful.
Right.
Except for the writing, which is just like, even it's not bad, it's just very unoriginal.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I'd hold against it.
Agree.
But if you can find it, I mean, if you go see Wreck-It Ralph, as we have, pounded into your head for the last 20 minutes, go see it. You will see Paperman attached to Wreck-It Ralph, so definitely go see that. But even if you're not going to go see Wreck-It Ralph, I mean, I'm sure you can probably find it on YouTube somewhere, despite, the filmmaker's intent. You can probably find it on YouTube, so, just go check it out. So, Paperman, you liked it?
Yeah, it was alright. I mean, again, like, my highlights are your highlights. It's very beautiful.
Okay.
It's very well animated. Like, I'm not going to say it's the greatest thing ever. Like our friends at SCAD, but... And again, like, my big problems with Paperman is, like, okay, well, should we tell them what the story... Well, you've already told them the story.
Yeah.
So, what happens, like, in the end of it is that, he's trying to throw, like, a paper airplane that, like, had, like, her lipstick kind of smeared on it.
Yeah, he's trying to get her attention from across the building that he works at, which I saw a film with that same premise. Like where these a man and a woman work in buildings across from each other, and they keep trying to notice each other, and it's like so they, like the entire time I'm watching this, it's like I'm having a huge sense of deja vu. Yeah. I don't know, like that kind of really irked me a little bit because it's like, dude, she's working, she's giving a presentation. Quit trying to have a booty call. She's gonna lose her job. Stop it.
I had the feeling it was a job interview.
Yeah, like it's like, dude, just cut it out.
Like, I didn't have a problem with that. It was just kind of more when, like, the paper started, like, having a mind of its own.
Yeah,
go talk to her.
Yeah.
You know, it was like really pushing him.
It's like the filmmaker, like, I need like a hand of God moment. Yeah. The papers will think for themselves, and then women will have sex with me because of my idea in Paperman. So there we go. We found out the filmmaker's intent.
The moral at the end was that if you give up on love, paper will not give up on your love.
I'm so glad that Paperman has told me that I should give up on looking for love because paper's gonna finish that job for me. So thanks, Paperman. Really.
Like, yeah, I think it kind of falls apart in the end. That's my big problem.
Just a little bit.
It's okay.
You saw me at the very end where, of course they're going in for that kiss shot, and I just put out my hands and go, "Now kiss!" Like I'm holding two action figures and bushing them together. That's not uncommon. I do that a lot. Yeah. So don't think that's too weird. So Paperman, we liked it. It's worth taking a look. Just don't expect too much from it. Non-technical
if you
stuff.
didn't go to an art school, it might be like a pretty new story.
Yeah, it'll be pretty nifty.
If you go to art school, though, it will be the 18th time you've seen that story, though.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it a few times, and I didn't go to animation shows or the student showcases too often.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I went to them a lot.
Yeah.
You can tell. I'm bitter and hardened and cynical as a result.
I was locked in my private room typing away.
Yeah, it's pretty alright. On paper. So, one last thing before we go. Despite what people think, we do actually see other films, but we don't normally get to see them together, so we don't get to do reviews for them. But we have seen 4 films outside. Well, I've seen 3, Steven's seen 1. And I will go first. They're just really, really short. The first one was Argo. Argo, I give a 9 out of 10, and just a really short review is it's easily one of the most tense, suspenseful films of the year. Ben Affleck is really proving himself to be a wonderful director. Like I said, 9 out of 10. Easily, the first 15 minutes of the film are worth the price of admission alone. It just happens to be that the rest of the film is fantastic as well. It kind of comes into a little bit of plot contrivances in the third act, but that's nothing really against the film. It's just me whatever. So Argo, 9 out of 10. Highly recommended. Probably one of the first films of serious Oscar calibration. So go see that. The second one that I saw was Paranormal Activity 4, which is the 4th entry in the Paranormal Activity series, which is also coincidental because I also gave it a 4 out of 10. Yes, I did not like it very much, and I'm a huge fan of the Paranormal Activity series, but this was not feeling it. So, Paranormal Activity 4, it's for fans only. It's the first time that it ever really felt lazy, like they just given up. So, I'll go see the 5th one, but I have really, really low expectations. And the 3rd one that I saw was Cloud Atlas, the new film from the Wachowski siblings, I should say siblings now, and German director Tom Tykwer. Cloud Atlas is 6 stories and 3 hours of your time. It's not a walk in the park, but if you're willing to give time and effort into it, it's totally worth seeing, and I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. And you saw Here Comes the Boom?
I saw the difference in quality in the movies that we see when we're not together.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Here Comes the Boom. Okay, not to mislead. Immediately, I'm not going to say it's Gone with the Wind. It's not Casablanca. It's not whatever. It's don't expect a huge, grand, Oscar-nominated performance out of Kevin James. But if you're looking for a cheap laugh, it's a predictable story, but it's got a nice mood to it. It's uplifting. Some good acting in it, some good jokes. It's pretty funny. Just if you see it in a dollar theater, it's worth seeing in a dollar theater. It's worth maybe a red box. Don't pay $15 to see it in 3D, which I don't know if it's in 3D. You can see Kevin James barfing on an MMA guy in 3D. That'd be interesting.
I'd pay to see that in 3D. So bottom line is we recommend Wreck-It Ralph, Cloud Atlas, and Argo. So there you go. So that about wraps it up for us. Thank you for tuning in. We'll have some more episodes in for you, relatively soon. It's just our schedules are weird. So from all of us at Geeks After College, put on pants today.